Paul Henderson's our guest. He's written a couple of books, The Fans Go Wild, Shooting for Glory. Is there a third one in there?
There's a third coming out very shortly, How Hockey Defines Canada. Jim Prime and I have collaborated on this one, and it'll be out very shortly.
Great.
The next 3 or 4 months. And How Hockey Defines Canada.
And do you have the answer to that?
Well, we've got some of the answers, so we're going to give you our thoughts anyway.
It's a metaphor.
There you got it.
For all of that. No, I think that's great. Live the hockey, live the wonder. It's, as we say, it's our sport. And I was born south of the border, and we still knew that hockey was Canada's game, right? But now that we've got lots of Russians and others playing, where does the puck stop, so to speak? Talk to me about concussions, injuries, how to prevent them.
A good question.
Are the doctors on it and the trainers on it? What?
Well, we had them in our day. We just didn't talk about it. Like I got a concussion my first game of Junior B, my first game of Junior A. And then Doug Barkley, I was playing for Detroit, hit me with a slap shot up here. And so I had a third one. That forced me to put a helmet on. And I had 3 more concussions after I put a helmet on. The first game in Moscow, I had a concussion. They told me, the doctors told me I shouldn't be playing. But back then we didn't know the repercussions. That's why I'm such an idiot today. After 6 concussions, I have an excuse.
Oh, good. But, that's why you're so slow, Paul. Yes, so, I wondered.
Yeah, but obviously the game has come a long way. But the problem is the guys are so much bigger and stronger today. The equipment is almost a weapon out there. And so I think the concussions are a lot more severe.
And they seem to pull them off the minute they have a concussion.
Well, they're getting a lot wiser now.
Wiser. Crosby's out, a bunch are out. I mean, if a puck hits you in the eye, you're definitely out.
Definitely. Well, they shoot the puck so much harder today. Like you say, a guy's 6'4", 6'6". They weigh 240 pounds. Like I was 184. I was above average. Yeah. So 184 versus 240, you're getting hit with an elbow. Consequences.
Wow. No, I know. I mean, just watching them skate. Hello. If they hit me, I'd be like down for the count.
Well, I'd be dead today too, so that's why I'm retired.
Do you play any hockey anymore?
Not at all. I promised my wife when I turned 60 I would quit, and I did.
Really?
And so I haven't played a game in the last 8 years. And when the clutch is slipping, the passing gear is gone. It's time to hang them up.
And the knees hurt.
You got
yes.
that.
Tell me about the day you found out you were living with leukemia.
It was not a good day. I kept myself in great shape. We've always eaten well. Went in for my annual checkup, and I asked them to do an ultrasound of my organs just to be safe, because my mentor actually he was diagnosed with cancer in October, and amazing, only 3 years older than I was. So I go in, and Wendy, the technician, started plotting these things, and man, I knew it wasn't good. And so what I ended up after surgery, we found out I have lymphocytic lymphoma, chronic leukemia. It's in my abdomen, all kinds of it in my abdomen, my chest, my lymph nodes, and it's in my blood. Bad news and good news. The bad news is there's no cure. The good news is they don't treat it till you really get bad, until you get into difficulty, pain or can't eat or that kind of stuff. So I've been working like crazy for the last 18 months on diet and building up my immune system, really physically fit now, and very, very strict diet, taking all kinds of supplements. I'm keeping the vitamin industry in business. And at this point, 18 months later, I'm still doing pretty well.
I read that when you heard the diagnosis, you could do 40 push-ups. Now you can do 70.
Well, even at 68, you can improve at anything. And my attitude is, I've got today. That's all anybody's got. And so I just refuse to have a bad day. And so I've got today, and it's going to be a good day. And with this tour, I mean, you get people coming up and tell you where they were and their stories and everything. Man, it's invigorating. And so my wife and I are just having a fabulous time doing this.
Did you go through an angry period where you said, why me? Why now? I've been pretty blessed. Scored 3 goals in that Summit Series, and that last one was a biggie. But why me? Why now? Well,
I guess it would be, why not me? I can't think of anybody more fortunate than me, but I think the spiritual dimension. Obviously, I'm a very committed Christian, and I know the Bible very well. In fact, 21 times in the New Testament, Jesus says, "Do not fear, do not worry." In fact, one time, it says, "Be anxious about nothing." And so these are promises that I've hung my hat on, and I can tell you unequivocally, I've had no fear or no angst in my body whatsoever since that day. I know I'm going to die someday. We're all going to die.
I hear tell.
And I know I really believe I know where I'm going, and so I've got today. I mean, I could die of a heart attack before I die of cancer. Or, I mean, there's a million other things can take you out. So
exactly.
I just refuse to have a bad day.
How great. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil.
Amen. Psalm 23. It's a good one.
I went to catechism
Ah.
a little bit. I don't know how much attention I paid, but I remember a few things.
Well, I didn't pay much attention there, but it was only until I got into my 30s where I really started to look into it. So that's when I decided, okay, is this real or not? And so.
But to have an infinite source or a God or somebody that you can give it up to on one of those days, it's a good thing.
Well, there's no question about it. There's no question about it. Well, that's what helps me get through. But also, too, that I got a great wife and family, and you need friends. Like, I don't know how many people are out there that pray for me daily. Like, come into the trailer. And Paul, I saw you interviewed or something, and you asked, I was on Leaf TV, and they said, anything we can do for you? And I said, well, if you're out there and you're used to praying, why don't you put me on your prayer list? And I think that's one of the reasons that I'm doing so well and just seem to,
all that energy. Well, you could have kept it quiet, though. I mean, you've got a big profile in this country, so you could have said, I've got this, we're going to keep it within the family, or we're going to talk about it. And you decided to tell people.
Well, it happened by accident. Mark Kelly, who does the Connect television in Toronto, come over and wanted to do an interview with me. The interview was over, and we get talking about things, and so I started talking about, my faith, and then I talked, well, here's what faith does. And I told him, I was recently diagnosed with cancer. But I said, but I haven't been, I've had no fear, I've got no angst in my body, and that's because of my faith. Well, his eyes were open like this. Well, what we didn't know, the cameraman had turned the camera back on, and so he got back to the studio. He says, Paul, we've got this on tape. Would we mind if you used it? And I said, well, I'm not looking to be the poster boy for cancer, but if you keep it in the context, okay, then you can do it. Well, they did, and he did. But then the 11 o'clock news, they just put it on there, and so then all hell broke loose. So anyway, it is what it is.
Well, if you'd gone to media training, they would have said to you, that camera is never off. Even if they tell you it's off, it's never off. So don't be chatting with the host in the break. Nice to see you. What a great tour. And I'm assuming it's free?
It's all free. That's the great part about it.
So you walk through big double wide trailer?
40 foot. There's the sweater, there's gloves, there's sticks, there's all kinds of videos in there, the interactive games. You can spend a half an hour in there and educate yourself. And if you got kids that don't understand it, it's a great place to bring your kids. We're going to be, I'm going to be at the Rogers Center. I'll be in the trailer from 5 to 6 tomorrow night, and then I'm out in Maple Ridge on Sunday from 1 to 3. So
great.
Come on out and say hello. I want to hear your story.
I bet you do. Well, as you know, many of our kids weren't born.
Some of their parents weren't born.
When you did that thing. Sidney Crosby, it's interesting to see because this moment has been so lasting, and when Sidney Crosby scored the goal in the Olympics and beat the U.S., if that will ever usurp this, or does this have a hold on this country?
Well, I think that my grandson, who is now 9, he's probably going to score a bigger one in another 10, 12 years, so they'll all fade into significance, and my grandsons will be the biggest.
Sure, and be making a lot more money than you did.
You got that right.
Thank you. Paul Henderson.